a really special occasion because I think it's approaching 10 o'clock on a Friday night, and I'm usually in my pajamas. So I'm digging deep here tonight. And I don't know about you, but I've always been really curious about people's stories, people who make change in their life and reinvent themselves a little bit, either professionally or personally. And I've always been fascinated by that. And then I realized recently that, hey, I kind of have done that, and I have a story to share. And that's what I was thinking about when Carolyne asked me to speak. And so I've been thinking a lot, because I spend a lot of time in my head, and I've been thinking all month about, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to say? What can I add? And then I found out I was last and thought, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to say? And so I had a great presentation all lined up, and I'd figured out the 5 questions that really transformed me over 3 years. And so I had those questions, and I had a really great, well-thought-out presentation for you. And then yesterday happened, and I send a newsletter out every couple of weeks. And so I sent my newsletter out yesterday, and I said in the intro that I was speaking tonight and feeling a bit nervous about it, and but wanted to share my story and be a little bit vulnerable with you tonight. And so my newsletter goes out, and then pretty quickly I get this message from this guy, and I've met him a couple of times. He's kind of a buttoned-up sales type guy, and he said, Diane, I just had to tell you how your newsletter resonated for me today. And I'm also trying to be more vulnerable, and I'm trying to be less focused on being perfect all the time. And I just want to thank you for being vulnerable yourself and sharing that with me. And it really inspired me today. And so, I'm like, oh my God, that's so great. Somebody's reading my newsletter. This is awesome. And he took the time to write back. And so I was like, this heart feeling kind of, And then I had this stinging kind of like teary feeling of, oh my God, I'm actually totally stressed out about being perfect tomorrow night. And I am really not being that vulnerable, because my 5 questions aren't really that great. They're just questions. And I realized what had been happening for me this week was a whole lot of old stories showing up for me, and a lot of comparison happening, a lot of judgment of me, and a lot of striving for perfect tonight. And so I thought, well, I can't do that 5-question thing. I have to tell the real story of what the journey of reinvention really feels like for me. And so I kind of just chucked everything and thought, I'm just going to tell that story, that inner story, because I know it's kind of amazing tonight. It feels like we all got together and talked about what we were going to talk about, and we really honestly didn't. It's like I really had no idea what anybody was going to say tonight. And so I'm the after 40 chick that tells you what happens after, Roman. And so, but we, like Roman said, people make it look easy, and they think it's easy. And I think from the outside, it looks like I just flipped a switch and decided to follow my passion for coaching, set up a business, and 3 years later, I'm rocking and rolling, and I'm doing what I love. And yes, I'm doing what I love, and it's amazing. But the inner journey to get to here has felt completely different than I think it looked from the outside. And the inner journey, I realize, has been about letting go. And that's what the story I'm listening to my intuition, Carmen, and my intuition says, tell that story. That's what I'm here to tell you tonight. So my letting go process is what's freed me up to pursue my passion for coaching and supporting people. And the letting go is multi-layered, and so I'm just going to tell you about some of it. And the letting go involves letting go of many things, one of which is judgment. And judgment for me is about judging myself, being hard on me, judging other people for sure. And as I mastered my skill of coaching, it was so easy for me to let go of judgment when I'm fully in my coach role and sitting with someone. And I would say, I'm not here, there will be no judgment in this exchange with us. I'm not judging you ever, anything that you say. And so it's so easy when I'm in full coach mode to release judgment. But letting go of judgment of me has taken a little bit longer, but it's happening, and I'm letting it go, and it's getting easier. And that's been a big one, letting go of judgment. Letting go of always knowing what the right answer is, or that there is a right answer. My need to know and my need to think all the time. It's been a huge learning to let that go and trust that in this journey of entrepreneurship, there is no right way to do it. And I've looked hard to find that right way. Like, somebody tell me what to do. How does this work? And now I trust that there is no right way. There is my way to do this. And that is the path I need to follow, is to trust that my way is the right way. So I'm releasing my need to know and have all the answers. I had to really let go. I'm not quite there yet, but I'll totally shout out to Carmen's True Prosperity program. But giving up financial independence and not having the certainty and the surety of income when I left a great job. I had a great salary, I had a great pension, and I chucked it to step into this unknown place that really forced me to face all my fears about money and relying on my amazing partner to support me financially while I grew my business. And so letting go of my fears around money was a big one. Letting go of comparison was another one. And, I looked around. I was looking at what other people were doing, what other coaches were saying, how they were marketing, how they were setting up their businesses. And I was always trying to benchmark, how am I going to fit in? Where do I fit in? How do I compare to that? And when I finally let that go, it was so freeing, for one thing. And I'll never forget reading Brené Brown's The Gifts of Imperfection book, and there's a quote in there that says that comparison is the thief of happiness. And that sunk in deeply for me. And when I just decided to stop comparing myself to others and just be me, it was so freeing. And it was like, oh my God, I've wasted a lot of time and energy, and obviously given up some happiness in that exercise of comparison. And so I just don't do it anymore, and I don't want to be that person. I've let go of lots of things that have helped me connect to me. And one of the things I had to let go of was always wanting to know what other people expected of me. I was really good in my career at trying to figure out what people wanted me to do, and then I would go do it, and I'd be really awesome at it. And that really worked out for me for a long time in that employee role. But in that journey, I lost my inner voice of what I wanted and what I was meant to do and what my true calling was, I think. And I got caught up in what everybody else wanted me to do and be. And so finding that voice again it was hard to find. It was hard to find me for a while. And I feel like that's coming back, and I'm starting to understand myself and know myself. And when I'm connected to that, all this flow starts to happen. And so what I wanted you to take away, I think, tonight is that outside journey that you see happening with people when they're in a state of change or making decisions to grow or to give things up and start something new. It might look easy on the outside, and they might look like they have all their shit together and that everything's awesome. And inside, it feels like a totally different journey. It's a lot more complicated than that. So I'll leave you with one last quote that I heard when I went to the Oprah Live the Life You Want weekend in Seattle. I know Monique was there too. And I heard so many amazing things that weekend. And the one quote, though, that really sunk in for me was from Mark Nepo. And he said, "The longest journey we'll take in our life is from our head to our heart." And that just lasered in on me. And like all the amazing things I heard that weekend, really that's the only line I remember from the whole amazing 2 days. And I came home, and I didn't really know what it meant for me, actually. And I could just remember it. And it was like, wow, that was powerful. And then I realized that I had been in my head a lot, and I was trying to love from my head, and I wasn't loving from my heart for my family and the people that I care about, and I needed to shift more and connect more to my heart. And actually this week, when those old voices and some of that perfection pattern and comparison and self-worth stuff showed up again, it was interesting because it was kind of like, no, that's not me anymore. Like, why is that shit messing with me? I've let that go. I've really let that go. And so, obviously, letting go is a process, but that was kind of cool to recognize and see that that's actually not me anymore, and I choose to be different, and I don't choose to play those games in my head anymore. And the journey from my head to my heart, I realize, is our shared journey together. And I know now that really that journey is about truly loving ourselves. And when we're there, we're in that state of flow, and everything is possible when we're in that place. Thank you.